Hello and welcome to the ElpyDimension. I am your guide, Elpy, and this is the new CNC, or Canadian Nightcrawler bin. 9 days ago? Yes, today's the 3rd of February, 2025, and on the 25th of January, 2025, I added 75 Canadian Nightcrawlers to this bin. I had bought 4 of those little bait cups that were said to hold 18 worms each. One had 17, one had 18, and 2 of them had 20 worms in them. And I was shocked to discover that not a single one of them died. Now, in the days since, I've peeked in on them. I'll just, just kind of move that blanket and look. And especially in the beginning, the first several days, I always, and especially at night, I always saw worms on top. I didn't see their whole bodies, but they would often be stretched along the side. And I've noticed in the last several days, specifically, that I don't see as many worms. It has been warmer outside, but now the temperatures are going to drop again. So I've not been in here at all since adding them. Oh, wow, look how big that guy is. I don't know how they respond to disturbance, but I guess we're going to find out. I'm very, I feel very intimidated and timid about disturbing them. Wow. What a huge... And there was one worm that I was particularly worried about, that when I would look in for a couple of days, he was there, but he's no longer there. Look at that big fatty. All right. They don't move much at all, do they? So one thing I wanted to see when I checked in here was the moisture level. Okay, there's another one. And another one. So we know there's at least 4. I'm not trying to count them right now. That's like they move quickly when they're buried, but then when you reveal them, and these guys are anesic. So there's endogeic, epigeic, and anesic worms. Epigeic are the composting worms that we know and love so well. Endogeic, I believe endogeic go down, but they also have burrows horizontally. Epigeic, the composting worms, are mostly on the surface, and then the anesic worms are they're not really considered composting worms. However, according to some sources, they are used in vermicompost. Now I feel like counting. Oh, look at, as I disturb them. Now I do see this with a type of worm out in my garden, that they come out. I didn't record them, get to them, but as soon as I begin to disturb the surface, yes. Okay, that's someone's tail because it's flat. But as soon as I begin to disturb the garden surface, these smaller worms, they just start. Ah, wow. It's almost creepy. It's really cool, but it's also almost creepy. Okay, well there's, ooh, and then you missed it. Sorry, I dropped that worm down and he shot back, so that's 4, 5. 6 right there. 7, 8, 9. But yeah, so anesic, so these are the ones that travel these as in anisic worms, are the ones that travel vertically. They have, and as I researched it, unbranching. So we said 5, so this guy was not a 6. We say we've got it. We've seen at least 10. They form. Here's the other one we grabbed. They have unbranching burrows, meaning they just go straight up and down. And that they do compost, and that they will come up and feed on the leaf litter, on the surface litter, and take it straight down into the soil. Now, even my composting worms react to disturbance, but not in the way that you saw these guys come out. You know, not like that. And I see that they definitely do hang out around the edge. Interesting. But the ones we're seeing, I know you can see that they look great. They look really healthy. Now I just, in checking on the blue worms, just accidentally chopped someone in half. These guys, I worry more about that because they're so much bigger. But they are down here. And that's the box. I am satisfied with the moisture on this half of the bin. I don't know if you saw my startup video, but this bin is unlevel, so the moisture, if there's any like that can actually move, it's going to go down to this corner. So the ultimate teller will be this right side. Oh, look, see? Okay, and they curl when they're disturbed. Wow. So if we found at least 12 over there, we can say 13, 14, 15, and 16, and 17. Huh. Really cool. So again, they definitely seem to like hanging out on the side of the bin. As big as they are, you know, I'm not doing a very intentional search. Wow, man. How cool. And they look so healthy. Wow. This guy is active. He is like, let me go. Dang. Now, I'm not doing an intentional search. Okay, here's 2 more hanging out together. And I know that we've seen with other worms that it's really easy to not see them. But my brain is still like, man, but you can't not see these guys. So, okay. But I am going to have to be a little bit more disturbing in order to see I want to see what the So I'm gonna dive into this corner. Yeah, see, this is that root mass. And it's not dry, but it's like a sponge that's mostly dried out. And it was super wet in here from the snow. That I had a ton of snow, and I kept adding water. No, I kept adding paper, sorry. And then I got some soil and added soil, and then that turned into a big old dry up fest. And I said I was going to come back in a couple of days and see the moisture level, because I kind of wanted it to be, was feeling really unsatisfied with just how much I had dried it. Okay, there's somebody way down here. Glad to see that. Oh, yep, look at, I mean, they said they do like to burrow deep. So there's at least 2. Whoa. He's really serious about. So the other worms, octolasians, I tried to keep them, and they aren't really composters either. I do believe the octolasians are endogeeic. But they had, I was just saying it, they had this same, look at. Look at how active they are. You know, he's shot down because I shined the flash is on my phone. Well, so one thing I can say is that the worms are in this corner. I'm not worried about the moisture down there. I'm not worried. Well, yeah, the worms are down there, and the soil that I saw looked wet. It might actually, I was gonna give them a bubble mailer. I might still, but I think instead I'm actually gonna put this cardboard under the blanket cardboard. So I would say, funny, I feel just like I did with the blue worms. I would always say, I know there's at least 30. I didn't count 30 here, but I do believe, I do believe for sure 50%. So if we had 75, that's like 37 and a half worms. I bet I can safely say that 37 and a half worms still exist in here. Yeah, wow, look at them. Now see, this is interesting because the Asian jumping worm, you don't really see this sort of more wild behavior in the composting worms. You guys are really cool. Oh man, if nothing else, they're cool to watch. Okay, so you go ahead, I'll cover you up. They're gonna get some food in the way of, I'm gonna try to feed them more so now, I don't suggest doing this. I need to figure out how White Davy made Worms and Garden made her mesh covers, her basically mosquito netting covers, because the fruit flies find their way, at least mine do, even when you bury food. But given what I've decided I was going to do is, instead of bury their food, I was just going to set it on top. And the only reason that I would brave that now is because even though you saw the fruit flies, well, sorry, that was a different video, the blue worms, the fruit flies came up from down in the material. But it's still that much more enticing if you put it on top. But the only reason I'm going to do it this time is because it is cooler down here. So the fruit flies are still here, but they're not as boss level. So I'm debating just dumping a little bit of water. I've got some melted snow. This stuff has been melted. Down at the bottom we're good. And it's not so dry, but I just would like it yeah, that's good for now. Okay, I thought I was recording and I wasn't. But hold on another minute, please. Okay. So what I went and got, look at these guys, was potting mix. It was potting mix that I dumped out all the pots at the end of the season, and I plan to recycle it with the new season coming up. So it's a little bit of torture for me to be like, I'm going to give it to the worms. But at the same time, I think it would be good for these guys to have it. So, they're going crazy. I think what I'm going to do. Now, when I had the soil / potting mix that I added before, I mixed it down into the bin. But I am going to just layer this stuff on top. Now, there's a high probability that introducing this material is going to introduce other species of worms. And I'm not, the only problem I would have with that is if those other worms, if it becomes a matter of them competing for food, because if the others are composters, then, oh yeah, and there's some leaves in here. If the others are composters, then, you know, they might break the food down faster, but we'll see. Okay, so there's that. Now, I'm only giving these guys a little bit of blueberries. Okay, and the main bestest ingredient is very well rotten arugula. Claims to be organic baby arugula. It smells real great. Okay. Got it nice and spread out. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of this potting mix. Yeah. Then we have these strips of paper. So we will further layer, sort of, kind of. Now, I presume that the worms, they take up those positions on the side because they want to. You know, I don't know if I should cover them if they go over there to, but okay. So it's not exactly that the food is right on the surface, but it's pretty dang close. It's not buried down in there like I would do with my epigetic composting worms. And then I'm going to layer this cardboard, sort of, kind of. Okay. Well, that's, hey, I think that was an excellent check-in. I know that the ones that we saw that are alive look really healthy. They look really good. Hopefully, what I just did didn't disturb them, or it did disturb them, obviously. Didn't really disrupt them in a way that I've made them unhappy now. But I believe that adding more water is just going to be good for the situation. Now I've added those greens that have already started to break down, yeah, now we have this nice layer and then more soil. So cool. We'll see how maybe they would like to be covered up. Awesome. Well, this was the Canadian Nightcrawler bin, and I would say 9 days in, it's a success. They're looking great. Probably at about the 6-week mark, I'll do like I did with the blue worm bin and make a very intentional effort to carefully scan, carefully count the population and see just exactly how many I have. It's about blue worms running away. What about Nightcrawlers? And will he actually... Let's see. I didn't think about that. I didn't think to look around and see if I can find any dead worm bodies. No, I don't see any. So, okay. But that one's on a mission. All right. Thank you so much for your time and your interest. Be safe, be well. Bye for now.